Hello everyone, Loremaster Sotek here, and welcome back to another Sotek talks over an article that is black text on white background, so it's blindingly bright on me, but you know, it is what it is. We're here to survive. So today we're going to be talking about the 6.2 patch notes, and by the time this video goes live, I will be live at the same time. I will be streaming patch 6.2 as the Creative Assembly was nice enough to send out early access to a bunch of folks. So I have been playing it, and I have a lot of thoughts I want to share, of which are quite positive. But let's go ahead and go over the patch notes just to get all the nitty-gritty stuff out of the way, and then we'll go from there. So it says, hey folks, patch 6.2 arrives in your download queues tomorrow, June 17th. And this one's packed with fresh new content for Total War Warhammer 3. Yeah, I will say, the one thing I want to say in this video, and then I'll talk about the rest of it in the live stream, is that this pretty heavily refreshes quite a few experiences. Like, every single faction has pretty significant changes, mostly just through the magic items, but also because of a lot of the AI fixes as well. So it's... there's a lot to check out. In this update, we're bringing key changes to magic items, we're integrating the campaign AI improvements that we trialed in our proving grounds these past few months, and we're introducing a handful of new magic items, as well as 2 new units, the Hobgoblin Bolt Thrower and the Blood Knights. In case you missed it, you can find a detailed deep dive on the magic items changes and the fresh new content in last week's dev blog. This patch also includes a significant tech improvement, enhancing our compression standards to enable fast decompression speeds for most files within game packages, helping to reduce the overall size of the game on your hard disk and bringing load time improvements in the process. Voodoo! To enable this change, the patch will seem unusually large and is estimated to clock in at 55 gigabytes in your downloads, but it will ironically reduce your overall install size once installed. There are also plenty of additional bug fixes and quality of life improvements detailed below. Yeah, this is true. We talk about it more in depth here in just a moment, but the game does load faster. If you're someone that has already fast loads, it's a noticeable but small improvement. If you're someone where your PC tended to struggle a lot more with load times, you should notice a fairly dramatic improvement, but which is very exciting. So first we have the magic item rework. The magic item system has undergone a major overhaul, aiming to unify item design, balance power levels, and reduce inventory clutter. In total, some 600 plus ancillaries, all items in the common, uncommon, and rare categories, have had their effects and rarity adjusted to match our new balancing paradigm. Yeah, to my understanding, they have not touched unique items yet. That is something that will happen later, and will probably, probably not immediately later, but at some point in the future. And it also, with unique items, it means that they're also not yet touching character items. So your legendary items have not been touched yet, but there's plenty to go with. There's so many changes. So core changes. There's a new power budget system. So now all items follow a cost matrix that tries to make sure they all feel like they are properly in the tier that they're advertised as. So there are now significantly higher differences between common, uncommon, and rare items. There's also a lot of brand new item effects, such as generic barrier being on many items, some items increasing your healing cap, etc. for more variety. And strong items that were already strong, but had not yet had... They were already strong, and they were debatably too strong for the tier they would have been in with the new system. They simply got kicked up a tier instead of being nerfed. Smarter item management. There are now fewer items over the course of a campaign. However, they are more impactful, so your items are more likely to be exciting and dramatic, but you're going to have less of them overall, so your item list is not going to be as big as it traditionally has been. Items tailored to your current collection and playstyle for better variety. So this means that if you are using lots of a particular item, the game is going to acknowledge that you want that item, and it's going to be relatively more likely for you to find it. If you're getting items and you're ignoring them or not using them, the game is going to notice that you don't seem to like that particular item, and it's going to make it less likely for you to get more of it in the future. And then item fused update is now so much better. So fused items now match the category. So for instance, if you fuse 2 armors, you get an armor guaranteed. I love this change. And also you can now fuse 2 rare items with a small success chance of getting a unique item. And if you fail, it just turns into scrap, which you can salvage for like 500 gold. So there is a risk, but if you just are swimming in blue items, you now have something to do with them if they're blue items that you just don't want. Personally, I will say I like what they've done so far. However, I really hope that we're going to see... how do I say this? I think that this is a really important opportunity to bring back, in a future patch, bring back the searching ruins function and allow more opportunities for people that deliberately want to find items to be able to find more items. As good as it is to, just like improve your item find percent chance, it isn't gonna give you really a lot. So like if you're someone that likes to hunt for a lot of items, or you're trying to get lots of items so you can fuse them to get higher tier, or you're really going after unique items and stuff, excuse me, the current system, it's not easy. You have to go pretty out of your way to get your hands on large amounts of items, which there are certain characters, certain skills, certain ways you can build your armies where that can happen, but it definitely is a smaller pool to work with. Things they have not done. They have not yet updated character unique items. As this follows a different paradigm and has a much broader pool of effects, we're likely to make adjustments here, as some weaker ones are going to struggle to match with the new ones, but this will be on a case-by-case basis going forward. Yeah, I mean, off the top of my head, I would say like Thorgrim's Axe of Grimnir, for instance, is really bad for what it's supposed to be. If you compare it like 1-to-1 to its tabletop version, it's pretty terrible. There are a number of unique items that are not that great. And then where possible, we'd like to focus these on the fantasy and give them powerful thematic effects, reducing the current trend. And then banners. These are planned to change, but following the same paradigm as our current standard items, but they didn't quite make the cutoff for this release. Expect to see this in the near future. Great. Banner changes. You can now equip multiple banners of the same type. Yes, you can. This is really, really good for some characters more than others. I mean, for every faction, it's decent. But for instance, if you're playing, say, Tehinwin has some god tier banners that he can get access to using his sacrifice system. And if you want to have an army where you stack 6 of the banner that gives the unit like a 25% ward save, you can do that now. And it's very scary on the character bus. New unique items, we already talked about this in a prior video, so you can go check those out if you want. We do see that the Feldblade is confirmed to have upgraded to unique tier, and it's also not locked to just Skaven anymore. Other factions can find it, which is very cool. New units, we have the Hobgoblin Bolt Throwers, which are a new affordable ranged siege unit for the Chaos Dwarves, and Blood Knights, which are without lances, which are anti-infantry focused with high sustain. And it's noted that these guys are now Blood Knights, and the Lance version has been changed to Blood Knights with lances so that they conform to the system that already exists in game. Compression, implemented and applied general compression with fast decompression speed for the majority of files in the game. This will reduce the storage space that Total War Warhammer takes up by 27%, which is very impressive. So it's going to be over a quarter smaller on your hard drives and such than it was. Also improve loading times when entering battles, with your reductions ranging from 5% to 42% depending on the battle and your personal system and such. They've also improved loading times when entering new campaigns. So on average, you're going to load into campaigns 9% faster than already. And they've reorganized game packages to reduce and minimize patching time for future updates. All excellent, great news. We love to see that. Can modders use compression? So looks like this is coming along, but this is, for modders specifically. Campaign AI changes. So there are 2 new customization options in campaign. The first, which is default on, so this will be always on unless you turn it off in your campaign setup. It should show up, I think, right above the crisis options. So like when you have your in-game crises, there should be a new tab right above it. And you have two new options. So you have AI strength and threat assessment, which is default to on. If it is on, campaign difficulty settings will be overridden so that the AI factions are always better at assessing threats based on strength and proximity of rivals, in addition to having generally increased hostility towards unknown factions. Enabling this setting is equivalent to the setup from CAI Beta 1. So basically, this is the one where it makes the AI less obsessed with the player and more actually paying attention to what's going on around them instead of having, that kind of player focus. So if you want a world that kind of feels like the world's doing its own thing while you're building up your empire, then you probably want to have this on. If you want the AI to be more focused on you as the player and going after you, I believe you want to have this off. We then have minor faction potential. This is left on off for default. So if you want this to be an available faction or available option, you need to turn it on manually. So when checked, minor campaign factions make better campaign decisions, increasing their tendencies to survive longer and have a bigger impact on the campaigns. Enabling the setting is equivalent to the setup from CAI Beta 2. So basically, if you want the campaign to be more organic and not have as much favoritism towards playable factions, so the factions that have like legendary lords, then you would want to turn this on. If you prefer to have like the really famous player factions be the big bads and you want your campaigns to be focusing on going up against those factions and not really allow the minor factions to be late game threats or have the ability to build up too much, you want to turn this you want to keep this off. If you want a more organic setup where the minor factions can potentially become major threats, then you want to turn it on. 2D porthole update. As part of 6.2, we've gone through the process of regenerating 1,200 plus 2D portholes across the game. Most of these were only generated during the initial implementation of units, and over time the game engine has changed significantly, going through rendering and lighting adjustments. Some were generating the blooming metal dark ages and were quite shiny indeed. They were also generating different eras of how we approach the generation process itself, how much anti-aliasing, all regular units, not just characters, as those have different, actually, specifically not characters, as those use different pipeline, have now been regenerated with a unified look and quality level featuring anti-aliasing consistent environments. Show it off, check out the OG Blood Knights, so Blood Knights with lances. So this is the version that was recently in game, and this is the updated version. So you can see the old version, he didn't have his weapon, and it just looks crappier. Like it almost, you can see it looks really pixelated. And the bottom one just looks way, way better. But this is specifically for 2D portals. Bug fixes, highlights. Abilities granted by effects for summoned units, such as the Summon Skink Priest, Krell, and the Summon Keeper of Secrets are now enabled. Thank you, God! So this was a thing that was a huge bugbear for me. I really love playing Lizardman. I love Lizardman campaigns, and I was very, very, very frustrated by the summonable Skink Priest, because there's a Skink Priest summon you can get with certain characters, notably Mazda Mundi, that allow you to summon this little ethereal Skink Priest, and the whole point was that he had spells. That's the only good thing about him, is that you would summon him, and he has Comet of Constantadora, Pan's Impenetrable Pelt, and I think Wind Blast maybe, or something like that. And so you could, in early campaign, he was really nice because it gave you really early access to Comet of Constantadora, and it was really, really nice for, obliterating early enemies before you get access to that spell normally. And for the longest time, he has not had spells. So they finally fixed it. It's very, very nice. I didn't realize Crow was also missing his ability, so that has also been fixed. They've also increased the rat-eye ratio of units mounted on Steeds of Slaanesh, such as Seekers of Slaanesh, Heartseekers, Hellstriders, Hellscourges, etc., to slightly reduce their performance by having fewer of them fight in melee at the same time. So basically, this fixes the issue that we've been having, especially in the multiplayer scene, where units that have been mounted on Steeds of Slaanesh have been pretty grossly overperforming a lot of the time. Like, it was possible to deal with them, but it was difficult. This should bring them down a bit. I don't know if this is going to make them balance per se, but yeah. Stopped effects that grant Snipe from also granting Slayer. That's a weird thing, but hey, good thing that's been fixed. Performance. Fixed potential crash upon opening a UI panel. Good. Fixed a potential hard lock in the prologue. Good. Added battle camera movement restrictions to prevent a potential hard lock during unit positioning tutorial. Good. Fixed a potential hard lock during the scripted skill tour guide. Good. And fixed a potential soft lock that could occur. Okay, whatever. All good. All nice. General gameplay. They have replaced the vampire attrition immunity effects on Nagashazar and the Crown of Sorcery for Azhag, as he already benefits from this as a faction effect. So that's really, really nice. Now the Crown of Sorcery and the Nagashazar unique building give Azhag unique different bonuses instead, because that was goofy. Azhag the Slaughterer Straight Slaughterer now correctly grants immune to psychology to his army. Great. Adding missing characters to the Tzeentch's characters categories, and they are now affected by effects such as the Arrows of Destiny, Gifts of Chaos. Good. Chaos Lord of Tzeentch now unlocks the Gate of Tzeentch from the boon Mortal Supremacy instead of Gate of Khorne. Well, I mean, yeah, that's probably good. Though there is something very funny and a little thematic about, like, some powerful Tzeentch character being like, I now open the Gate of Tzeentch, and then Tzeentch is just a dick and it opens the Gate of Khorne instead and he just, like, blows up. That is very funny. Grom's trait now applies the leadership effect only to regular goblins, matching the physical resistance effect. Cool. So just making it more consistent. Blood Speakers are now affected by Annihilator's armor as they also lead armies. Cool. That makes sense. Removes Siege Attacker from Demon Slayer Lords as they're not legendary characters and they don't have battering ram sized axes. That's very fair. Reasonable. Malachi's Encamp Stance now provides ambush defense chance. That's very good, especially because he's likely to start a war with Throt pretty soon. Karak Kadrin now starts with the correct treasury amount for its faction. Good. Pet the female and feed the male options now affect all yin-yang units rather than just a small selection of units. Very good. Norska can now recruit the Norscan Warhounds. Hooray! Good. I never understood why that was not a thing, but yeah, so Norska now has access to all of the War Dog units they should have. The Indisputable Champion boon for Chaos Lords of Tzeentch will now correctly grant experience to gain to Tzeentch units. Apparently the Chaos Lords of Tzeentch had a number of bugs. I'm glad those have been fixed. Skills. Archon's skill, Legions of Death, now provides increased leadership at its second level. Okay, that's good. The skill Bloodthirsty Charge now more accurately describes which units benefit from its various effects. Very good. Resolved overlapping skills in Kargan the Kray's skill tree have been fixed. That's good. Added the Plague Feeder skill to Kargan the Kray's skill tree. Okay, so he's going to be better. That's nice. Added a resistance effect to Beast Lord's presence to mirror Beast Lord's gaze. Sorry, it's late. Ricard's later ability is now a true upgrade. That's good. So the original problem was that when you would go from Beast Lord's presence to Beast Lord's gaze, you would lose the resistance effect. Now it's in both. So you're no longer downgrading. The Demon Prince now affects Beasts of Nurgles with the skill Rancid Menagerie. That's good. God, I hate the Demon Prince. Well, okay, I can't tell if this is all Demon Prince. I assume they mean Daniel, or Prince Yuri, because God, I hate that character. They could make him so good, but it's going to require a lot of effort. The Incarnate Elemental Beast is now affected by the Great Bray Shaman's unique skills, Bellows of Discord and Hardened Pelts. Excellent. So making the Incarnate Elemental Beast tied to the Wizards, which makes a lot of sense. If you take them in a Great Bray Shaman's army, they get unique buffs, which is nice. Tech. Cockatrices are now affected by Gates of the Dark Gods when playing as any Beastman Lord. Cool. That makes sense. Empire Landships are now enforced by the Reinforced Armor Plating Tech. Makes sense. Excellent. Mother of Stankia's faction, Daughters of the Forest, can now acquire the Priest of Tal and Priest of Urson ancillaries. Okay, that's reasonable. I mean, she has access to everything else, so sure. Stopped effects. Okay, we talked about that. Warlock Engineers now have an Arcane slot. Thank you. That was supposed to be in a very long time ago. Like, a crazy long time ago. So good. Warlock engineers can now take arcane items. Sacred Incense, which is a high elf item you get from the Rite of Vol, now correctly provides missile resistance to friendly units within range. Good, so it does what it's supposed to now. Buildings and settlements. Nurgle outposts now provide garrison units where constructed. That's good. If you're building outposts, you definitely want the benefits of said outposts. Added the Spirit Leech and Soul Blight spells to the Amethyst Wizard that Elspeth can get from the Amethyst College building. That is absolutely fantastic. So basically this makes it where, I believe this makes it where if you attack a settlement where Elspeth has built one of her Moore's Gardens and she had built a Amethyst College, this makes it where there is now that you get an Amethyst Wizard in the garrison and they now actually have spells, and they have 2 really good spells. Pig Barter now functions correctly as a minor settlement in Realms of Chaos campaigns. Oh, cool. The Throne of Chaos landmark building is now available to the Demons of Chaos, as it should be. It was weird that it wasn't. Added settlement effects to Conquata when occupied by lizardmen, as it previously only reduced corruption. Good. That is very nice. I will need to play around with that. UI UX. The recruitment effects for the exotic animal building train now correctly indicate where they apply. Cool. The Gore Feast skills for Taurox and Karanak now use the correct icon. Very nice. I will note, I am glad they gave us Norscan Warhounds with poison for the appropriate factions. Can we please, somebody, please give us Minotaurs of Khorne for Taurox? And, well, no, we should get Minotaurs of Khorne for all Beastmen. It really should be all Beastmen. All Beastmen should get access to the Minotaurs of Khorne. But Taurox should have unique buffs for them. But we also need... Oh, there's another one that I was just thinking of and it just left my brain. Maybe it'll come back to me. The Shroud of Darkness skill for Canine Assassins no longer displays the Vanguard deployment icon. Okay, cool. Environment. Plague-ridden Cultist Nurgle and Plague Cultists now use the correct naval model when at sea. Nice. Battle fixes. Minotaurs of Khorne and Minotaurs of Khorne with great weapons now have the Woodsman and Hide Forest traits. Excellent. So they now act like Beastmen. Put them in the Beastmen roster, you cowards! Alaria the Radiant now has martial prowess when mounted on a Great Eagle, as it is not considered a monstrous mount. I think that's very reasonable. Another one, I also think, I was talking with someone recently in my community about this, I think it would be very reasonable as well for the vampire counts to get access to the Mourngul Haunter as a generic hero through the Mourngul building tree, but just like at the next tier up or whatever. Because it's like you can get access to the Mournguls. I don't think it's unreasonable for the Haunter to join them, especially because it wouldn't even require changing the skill tree if memory serves. Because I believe, if I remember correctly, the Mourngul Haunter's skill tree can translate 1-for-1 to the vampire counts because he doesn't have any skills that buff units. All of his skills are just buffing himself because he's more meant as like a debuff terror bombing melee piece as opposed to like a buff wagon. So I'll have to double check, but I think as long as they just, you know, make sure that his trait list was updated to use the vampire count trait list system instead of the vampire coast trait system, I think it'd be completely reasonable to add him over. Morinhowl, who is the Skinwolf Werekin unique hero from Tarmokon's campaign, has been given the Strider attribute, and his weapon strength has been adjusted to better align with that of a Werekin. After all, he is a Werekin, just not exactly. He now has bonus versus infantry instead of bonus versus large. That is very cool. Okay, so he has kind of a unique gimmick. All right, that's fun. The Mark of Slaanesh has been added to Kares, the Darkling Prince, and the Mark of Zinch to Zverik, the Feathered Prince. Okay, these are characters that you can acquire in the Norska campaign by making your god happy. Cultists of Zinch on War Shrine now has the correct health value. Always nice. They fixed summonable characters. We talked about that. Fixed the Celestial General not having fear when mounted on a Jade Longma. Awesome. Very, very nice. I feel like, so random aside, but I feel like a lot of people are suffering a little bit from, I wouldn't call it FOMO, but kind of like, at the release of the new Jade Longma model, which is actually coming out super soon. They announced Cathayan pre-orders are starting next week. It's not, I don't think it's everything. Like Miao Ying isn't available yet, but I think it's like the new battalion box, which I believe comes with the Jade Longma Lord. And the new tabletop Jade Longma is so much cooler looking than the one in Total War, to the point that a lot of people have been like, can we have that? I feel like it would have to be like a new type. It would have to be like a Great Longma as opposed to a regular one. because it's supposed to be kind of the same one we have in Total War, but the one we have in Total War is a lot smaller and just not as cool looking, which is a bummer. The Druzina can now fire while moving when mounted on a warhorse. Oh, very nice. Added skirmish mode to the Druzina warhorse so he can fight to run away. Okay, that's awesome. That's super duper good. Makes the Druzina even better. It was really dumb that he didn't have that on the warhorse, so that's a really good change. The Thunder Tusk and Amble Peak Grey Packs now cause fear and terror. Excellent. Reduce melee attack and melee defense. Oh, okay, good. Okay, so they debuffed the hell out of the Seekers and Heartseekers. That is excellent. So good, they did a balance patch on them, because they've been busted in multiplayer, so good. They fixed it, which is very nice. So their melee attack and melee defense has been reduced by 2. Their armor-piercing damage of Seekers has been reduced by 4, but their base damage has gone up by 4, so they're less good at killing just fucking everything. They also talked about the Rat-Eye ratio. The Eshin Maneater now has the Ogre Charge attribute. Good. Fixed a bug where single entity units could stop fighting during duels. That's kind of hilarious. Grudge Rakers for Master Engineers now match the range of the unit variant. Very cool. Nice and consistent. Ishka's Triads now correctly gain the Unspottable attribute when using their ability. Good. Fixed areas along the rivers on the Obsidian Path where Shallow River was too deep in some spots. Good. Fixed the issue where Pestigores were notably taller than the counterparts along with the other Dark Chaos Gods. Slightly hilarious. I think they should be maybe like fatter, maybe a little pudgier, wider per se. A little more Loremaster of Sotek in shape. Taller, probably not. So that's a good change. Sisters of Twilight now have a defined primary uniform color. That's very funny. Fix some abilities that increase winds of magic, such as wizardly weapons not displaying in the UI. Good. Goblin Spears now have the green text indicating they're anti-large, as all Spear infantry should. Cool. Multiplayer. The Blue Vipers, Dim Sun, Skull Takers, and Top Knots factions now have the Wah ability in multiplayer battles. That's very funny that they didn't, but that is a good change. I think almost all of those are Savage Orc factions. I think those are all our Savage Orc factions. The Stonehorn Harpoon Launcher now shares the same unit cap as other Stonehorn variants. Fair. And then we'd like to say another big thank you to everyone who's provided us with their feedback and suggestions, as well as those who have helped bring many of the improvements detailed above by reporting your bugs to us. Great job. So, awesome. I know that I like to bother them with lots of bugs, and this is all coming along really nicely. I think literally the only thing I can think of off the top of my head, which is not much, the only thing I can think of off the top of my head that's I've talked to someone about recently that I hope to see fixed that was not fixed in this is that there's been a bit of an issue a lot of people have been reporting when it comes to... Actually, there's a couple of bugs I'd still like to see fixed. Now I think about it. I should make a standalone video about that. But something I'd like to see fixed sooner rather than later would be that there's been a lot of discussion about a particular bug when you have a lot of contact effects. So, like, say you have a character that has frostbite, poison, and he also gets magic attacks and flaming attacks, right? So he has like a shitload of contact effects. There can be a bug where not all of them are being applied, and which is not good. And then when it's deciding which ones to apply, it seems to apply the less meaningful ones, which is also not good. So hopefully that is something they can fix in the near future. But overall, I will say that patch 6.2, I have been enjoying it immensely. I'm probably going to be playing a significantly more Total War, at least for a little bit, because I kind of want to play through every single campaign in the game again. Because I want to see all the new items, and I want to see like how the AI feels different and everything. So expect a lot of Total War. Maybe I can finally finish getting all of my achievements before Tides of Torment comes out, because I need to do Bretonia. Well, no, because I want to wait for some of the new factions, because I need Bretonia, High Elves, Warriors of Chaos, Skaven, and I think that's it, maybe. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Please let me know what your thoughts are on all this. Is there anything that you're really excited to see changed? Is there anything that you're really been bugging you that you would like to see fixed? Like, I can think of a couple bugs off the top of my head that I'd like to see squashed. Like, I've been dealing with the annoying one where if you have like a unit of flyers and they're chasing a fleeing unit, they fly really slow, like their speed gets like halved, and it's like super annoying, or you know, other little ones like that. So do let me know if there's anything in the game that you're really hoping to see fixed that hasn't yet, and maybe we can kind of keep an eye out for those. But do also let me know if there's anything that you're really excited to see fixed, which is going to be your first campaign. And if you say Karl Franz, that's totally fine. Just know that you are you are like you are the human fighter of the Total War community. I'm just saying. But anyway, hope you all have a lovely day. And please feel free to come by the live stream and chat. If you decide to watch this first, I'll still be live. So I'll see you guys around. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.